Okay, let's start. Okay, thank you, friend. Thank you for joining. I hope you had enough time to revise Angular lessons. Today we are going to see other building blocks of Angular. I share my screen. So today we are going to see pipes. So far we have seen. Let's see the list of building blocks. So far we have seen up to the metadata. So in this session, we are going to pipes, data binding, service, and dependency injection. Okay, so my target is to cover these four topics. So this is my idea for today's session. So let's move to pipes. Okay, actually, pipe is the way to transform data to desired output. So uh, I don't know whether it is available for other programming language. So, so let's discuss. After that, you tell whether you have same syntax in your language. Maybe in JavaScript framework, it's maybe available. So other thing and all maybe in different syntax may be available. Okay, so we have some two kind of pipes. So one is the built-in. So already by default, Angular has this kind of. In many pipes are available. Few pipes we will use often. So changing the cases, normal cases to uppercase, lowercase, title case, sometimes the currency. So these are all by built-in Angular developed for us. Okay, so otherwise, what we need to do, we need to make some coding. So we need to call that name dot to upper kind of things we need to write, right? Instead of that, we can easily we can transform data to desired output. This is called pipes. This is built-in. But if you are not satisfied or your requirement not met with the built-in pipes means you can create your own pipe, then we can call it as the built-in pipe. That also we are going to see in this session. First, let's discuss with the built-in pipes. I show to the coding now. Actually, the first you are seeing, right? Let me go the uppercase. The first one, just I am saving the, showing the name here. We have name variable, just assigned one name. So it will show as it is. So the interpolation actually within this curly brackets, when it call it this name means automatically it will show to the browser. So now we are changing that name to uppercase with the pipe symbol. That's why it's this functionality called pipe. Okay, so this pipe symbol we need to call. So any data after that, if you we need to call the desired pipe. So this called actually the inbuilt pipe. Okay, let me execute and show. Then other pipe and all we will discuss. Okay. So this is the default name. In Anand Babu, in Anand, A is a capital, Babu all are lowercase. But when you use the uppercase, we used to write so uppercase. So it will transform data without having any code by user. It will change the case. Likewise, lowercase. Actually, this is a syntax. The lowercase. This is title case. Okay, so here by default name I have given here. Then the pipe, how it transform the data. So this is the thing. Under title case. Title case means all you know, the first letter we will change to the capital letter. So this is a type title case. Then we have a currency. This is a normal currency and we need to give the currency. and we need to pass the which country currency we need to show. So INR means it will add that this symbol for rupee symbol. And the date, this is I have given the default date. So new date means this is a default format it will display, but this is unformatted date, right? So which part I need? So from that date, I can use for only date format. This is a time format. So this and all we have mentioned here. So the date, then if you pass the format means it automatically transform for us. Like as actually the decimal is here decimal we are calling how many decimals we want. So that and all we can mention here. And the slice pipe, actually it will slice which element we need to get. So we have journed to December month in array. So here we have requested the 5 months from March to July. We are requested. So here we have slice. Then we need to give the index where it start and up to which number. So this thing. So 2 to 7. 7 actually it will start from here. So that's why it shows from here to here. 5 months it showing. And JSON file, you know, so as a JSON object, we cannot display as it is. If you show it means it will show the object only. We don't know which object, the name, property and the value and all we don't. So JSON pipe, name it JSON only. So we can use to show the inner value. So this is the thing. And the chaining pipe is the multiple pipe we can use. So here first in JSON I converted to JSON object. After that I convert to the upper letter. So this is called chaining pipe. So we can call any number chaining pipe based on our need. Okay, so uh, first one actually in object we have month. We show all the months here, all the property and value. Here same thing, but we converted to the all or the uppercase. So this is the chaining pipe and the custom pipe. So as I said earlier, actually we have several pipe name actually. So but this and all often we will use for our project. So mostly I design this training session the based on the project what we need. So if you want to learn what is Angular means it is different path actually that some unnecessary thing and all we need not cover. So this and all the mostly we will use. Okay, so that's the thing. So as I said, actually we have several thing I have mentioned here very less only. You can see, but that and all we won't use often. Next, let's go for the custom pipe. As I said earlier, if existing built-in pipe not meant for your requirement means we can create our own pipe. So here, this is a default date. I want to get this format, date, month in name, then year. This format I want to get means, so I am going to write one pipe here. Actually, your pipe, the custom pipe should start with that pipe. Okay, this directive you need to write. Then pipe name, which name we need to we need to mention here. So if you see here, I have given the name right. This selector we need to mention here. Selector and the standard alone is true here. And what we are doing, just we are passing. So if you see here, I passed the just today date. So today date you can, if you see here, today date is just a new date. Okay. So so when I mention here, automatically this date will pass to this custom pipe. Okay. So if you see here, this transform names a default name. This name we need to use. So here that value we are getting that customer date here, and I am doing some other thing. So this and all the inbuilt function actually daytime format. Just I get only the numeric part of the year, that 4 digit, and month in the name. Short means it will give the name, and the date 2 date format 01 kind of format. and concatenate and send. It's a very simple thing. You can try for your own customized thing. Okay. So here, so it returns this a day, month, and year. So same thing on the we are seeing here. Output. Okay, so we are seeing it, right? So this is a pipe. So mostly some inbuilt pipe itself enough for us. Uppercase, currency, date, the few things we will use. Sometimes for what case for debugging purpose, so we will use the JSON pipe. Okay, so these things only almost we will use. From rare functionality, we can go for the custom pipe. So this is about pipe. Next, go to data binding. It's a very, very important topic, this one. So along with the component module, right? So this is the data binding. So all you know, data binding is a common functionality for all programming language. So we need to bind the data. So first we need to get the data from a database or any endpoint. Then how we are presenting the data, how we are passing the data. Here in Angular, you know, we don't have single file for showing class and CSS and HTML data. So we have three different file, right? So we should have mechanism how we are going to pass the data to class to DOM template, the HTML, class to HTML and HTML to class. So this is the two way we have. So first we need to send the data to HTML to show the data for user. This is the one way. After that, if user making any change, we need to return back the data to class. From class, we need to send the data to SQL or database. For endpoint, we will send, right? So this is a very, very important point for data binding. So let's see how Angular has the features for doing this data binding. So as the description says, data binding is a core concept in Angular and allow define the communication between component and the DOM. Component means class, DOM means HTML. Okay. So here we have four type of data binding: interpolation, property binding, event binding, and two-way binding. Okay. Let's see one by one. First, go for interpolation. Interpolation means it bind that JavaScript variable, the class variable to template. So direction means class to template. Okay, so how we are going to pass the data. Let's see the real example. Here we have one variable in class. In TS file, we have name equal to Kumar. We have uh, we pass the data through interpolation. Interpolation means this the two curly brackets, right? So this is called interpolation. Within that two curly brackets, we need to call that class variable. Okay, so if you mention here, so it will bind. Hi, welcome to data binding. This and all static. This name is a dynamic based on this variable. This value will be shown here. Let's execute the part. Okay, let's go to our project. Then should be data binding. Okay, data binding is the class. Let's change. Okay. Okay. First, let's see the interpolation. Okay, this is just a heading here. This Kumar comes from the class. Others are static. So let's see. Let's verify this in our class. So here name. Okay, this variable we have, right? This name we have used in the interpolation. This part, the name we have used. Actually, this is the one of the data binding. When we need to use means simple data. Just we need to send the data from class to HTML file. Some static, some very few, some editing kind of things. These things very simple data we need to pass. So this is about the interpolation. It's very straightforward, very easy also. Then go for the property binding. Okay. So property bindings. Okay, let's see the existing thing. So nothing new here actually. So see, this is very familiar to you. If you are familiar with HTML means this is a very familiar. What I have done here, I created one text box and the value I have given one static name. Okay, name is a static one. So if you see the output here, so no name it is showing, right? So if I change anything here, name 1, 2, 3, that will be reflecting. So 1, 2, 3 we are showing, no? So this is not Angular. This is very pure HTML thing. How Angular actually applied here means, so this bracket, this box bracket, right? So we here that value, you know, if you apply this bracket, how interpolation we have this curly bracket like that. This bracket, if you mention means dynamically we can assign the value. So this is the different. Normally value we will assign statically. So here we can assign the value dynamically. So that is the only difference between property binding and the normal thing. So property binding Angular uses the same thing what already you are familiar with, the same thing. So nothing this is new. Only apart from, so not only for one string, some image also. So in image tag, you are familiar. SRC here, we will give your path. The entire path we will give, it will reflect. Here we are passing dynamically. We are passing that URL. So here we have one URL. That URL we are passing here dynamically. Okay. So property. So for input value is a property. For image SR is a property. Then the button as the disable say HTML property actually. Here we are making as a property binding in Angular by adding these brackets here. Then we have one Boolean variable is paid user. Paid user is true. Then we making is a not true means we will show. So let's verify these things. The first one, actually, this is a normal HTML. Here we are passing from class to DOM. We are passing that value. Here, that URL we are passing through property binding. Here button we are show or hide based on that property binding. So if I make here, so if I remove this one, so disable equal to true means it won't show that button. Hide, disable that button. This is a disable property, right? So disable this button. So if I add not equal to, this will enable. So based on the value from class file, we can change the property of the HTML. So this is about the property. Through property, we are binding the value. That's it. That's a property binding. Okay. So this is also one-way direction from class to HTML. So interpolation and the property are one-way binding from class to HTML. So this is about the property binding. It's a very easy. Just with the existing HTML syntax, just we are adding that attribute, that property. Okay. So another one, the fourth one. Okay. Here the event binding. Through event we bind the data. Its direction is template to class. So far we have seen interpolation, that is class to template, and property binding, this also class to template. This is opposite to existing. So template to class. So when user adding some value, he wants to pass this value to class means the event binding works for us. So in event, when you perform some event, we set the data. So for example, here we have in template, in one text box we have, and button we have. In text box, we are assigning, typing some value, and I click the button. I am triggering one event, this click event. When click event, we called on one function from the class. In this class, we are passing this value, this text box value, company dot value. What is company here? This is a reference of the input. this text box. Normally we will have a text box value, then we will call, right? Like that text box dot value mean this will pass to here class. After that, we can do some manipulation here or send this data to database. That and all based on our requirement we will do. Let's see the demo now. Okay, here event binding. We have one default variable EC group we have. After that, we have another button. In that button, when we click, we pass this input to text box value. This is a one method we have.
Please guys, others on me.
Can you mute Sundara? Okay.
என்ன இது டிக்கெட் கிடைச்சாதான் போறோம் ஆனா போலனா வரவா ஏன்னா இது நான் போலனால டிக்கெட் போடாம இருக்கோம் கட்டல்ல வந்து வியாழக்கிழமை போடுவோம் கிடைச்சதுன்னா போலாம் அப்படின்னு இருக்கேன் சரி ஓகே
How to give him?
சாப்பாடுலாம் நாளை பசங்களுக்கு மட்டுமே ஒன்லி ஃபார் பசங்களுக்கு நீங்க வந்து தேர்ஸ்டே தான் கன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணீங்கல்ல வரீங்களா
சுந்தர் மீட்டிங்ல இருக்குது அவர் கொஞ்சம் மீட்ல போட சொல்லுங்க மீட்டிங்ல இருக்குது அப்புறம் அன்மியூட் இருக்குது
Okay, then we start here. Okay, so through event we are passing this click event, we are passing this text box value. That's it. So if you go to the class file, the show is the method, right? In this show, we are receiving that value. Okay, the string value receiving, and just we do the console log here. So to verify the what user enter same thing we are receiving or not. So this is the thing. Then execute this. So as I explained here, so EC group we have, and let's go to console log, inspect element and console log. Okay, so by default we have assigned the value. When I send the data means, so it shows the EC group. This also will send. Okay, so this is what we have written here. So what are all the things available in this input text box? Through this reference, we are sending to the show method through this click event. The console log, we are showing the same data. So here from view to class file, we are sending the data. Okay, so this is about through event. So this is called the event binding. The final one, this is the two-way binding. So this is a proper way to show the big data, many data to users, and normal transaction and all we will do in that way. Okay, here actually we have the class. In the class we have one JSON object, username and password, and in the template in HTML file we have two text boxes. Just we are assigning this value. So here credential is a class variable name, right? So credential dot username. So James will be assigned to input password. So will be assigned to here. This is a one way. It opposite way, through that some event we need to send the data. So how it works? Let's look more. So credential is a class here. We have having the username and password. If we go to here, we have form. In Angular, actually, this is the form. So the set of data we can send and receive from so to class or HTML. So this is a form data for data tag, actually, this one. So here you can see that ng model. Ng model is the one option here. We have already discussed this one. So in this ng model, we are mentioning here username and password. It will be assigned to text box. Okay, in button, here we can call on event, otherwise submit. Since we have a form here, we have the submit event. So when you click the button here, the login method will be called. In this login method, we have another console log. This will show the new value. If user changed anything, that value will be shown here. Otherwise, the default value will be shown here. Okay. So this is the thing. Let's execute this. Then we will see deeper this. So two-way binding. So two text boxes. So one, I assign James here and the password I am assigning. So if I click here without changing anything, if I click here, the same value will be sent here. So to verify the output after changing thing. So new value also will be available. So that's two direction. One direction, we are assigning the value class to HTML file through that ng model, and the return back the value through that submit button. What the user change thing. See, this is the two-way binding. Actually, when we go for the real adding, deletion kind of things, we will see more. Just you understand how the data travels in one component. So class to HTML file to class. So this is about the thing. Let's see here actually what is the different from normal things. So form, I said this is the syntax for here other programming language. So in .NET also we have form kind of things, because the form should be submitted, right? So by default submit available. This we have type, right? It's a submit button. So it will be submit this value. How we are assigning the values. So this is the thing. So ng username and password. So two-way binding means this is actually sending the data. So the property binding syntax, right? The same thing. So this is a sending data class to HTML. This is the event binding. Event binding syntax is the round bracket, right? So the both the thing available. So for example, if you remove the ng model, now this is not two-way binding. So one-way binding only. Still it will work, but see the differences. Now we send the property binding works fine. So we send the data of the class to HTML, it comes, but I am applying this is changing here. See, password changed successfully, but this one is not changed because that event binding is not happening. So that's why this is the thing. Actually, this is one kind of form data. Actually, we will have template driven form and model driven form, the reactive model and all. I will explain later that. Okay. So this is what Angular works. So this is about the data binding. Okay. Okay. Another important thing, the services. Service is a class like a component or piping or any other things. In as I said earlier, in Angular, all are class for as per the code. So all are class, right? So the main objective of class and why service is taking place here means it used to share the data between the components, directives or model. Okay, share the data. So service means actually It share the data in another way actually. What normally how we will use through service only we communicate with endpoints. Okay, so get the data and show to the particular component. So service is a common one. It share the data to multiple components. Let's start with one simple thing. So without using component, how without using service, how we can work first. Then we will see why service is needed. Then okay, employee is the one thing. So let's change it to employee component, and I move to employee component now. Okay, let's see the result first. Okay, here we have getter. This is static, and this also static. ID name. This is an heading, and we have given the user ID, name, and the ranking we are displaying. Okay, actually where it data comes from. As of now, we have in one component this data. So employee is a variable here. I have created one class here. So in model, so here I have created the class and I have used. So nothing new. Okay, so in class I am adding this ID name. I have around 8 employees here. Actually, this data actually automatically we are showing here. So how it is showing there? So employee is a variable, right? This object loop through the for loop. Okay, the structural directory actually it will call and show the data. So nothing new. Already we learned this one in last session. So here thing is that we have employee data here. Okay, this data we are showing in employee component. The same data we want to show in other component, 2 to 3 places, supplier or reports kind of area. The same object, the same data we need means. So all the component we need to mention this object, right? This data we need to mention. Okay. So then we need the one common place. So some utility kind of things. We need to write commonly one place. Then we need to call that particular class to all the component where we need. That is what we are using service. Service is the common place as per the Angular here. Actually, in the real scenario, we have some static data. 8 employee data I have given the thing. But when you communicate with the endpoint, we can get dynamic things. So that we are going to learn upcoming sessions. The HTML client is a thing we need to use for getting the data from endpoint. So when we learn that one, the real scenario. So I will write on and web API application. So next routing, when we go for routing, I create one web API or Node.js, one application I write. So we will write one endpoint. So just the same kind of 8 thing we will get from there. Okay. So just assume that we are getting the value from the database. Okay. So now what we are going to do, we comment this one. Because our requirement is that the same data I need to show for all the area. Okay. So all the component I need. So that's why I removing here. And this time we will look to, let's go to service now. So employee service. Yeah, employee service is here. Okay. In this employee service, actually this employee service at injectable we need to give. Because since this is a common, it should be available the project wide. So that at injectable actually Angular, as soon as see this keyword Angular inject this one in the application wise. In other words, it creates a singleton object. That's it with this result. So wherever you call the same object we can reuse. Okay, so this is the service should start with injectable and provided in. This is the actually the options. As of now, we have any, root, platform, and null. Let's discuss this one by one. let's start with the default option, root. So root means what will happen? This is the project wise, the singleton will be created. Okay. So the same thing only, same object only I have copied here. And what I have done here, the get data is a one method. Actually, get API we will discuss later because API means we need to learn that HTTP method, interceptor, the other things and all. So let's come again for get the data. As of now, here itself, get data is a method. It will return this value. As of now, we have value here. Later, we will get from endpoint. Okay. So we are returning here. So wherever the components we need the data, just we can reuse this service. Since this is a singleton, it's a very fast. Okay. So employee service, just you see this one. Then we go for employee component. Here, this employee service I am injecting here in controller. Actually, I am using here. Okay. In next section, actually, next topic is the dependency injection. Let's see this one. So just assume that just we are calling the service here. The variable you see this employee dot get data. Actually, same get data we are available, right? One method we have written get data, right? That method only we are calling here. So when you go here, the get data and assign to one variable, the variable we have declared. Okay, so if I go and verify the result, the same data is available. Okay, the first we had data in the same component. Now we moved the data to the common place. That common place called service. In service, moved to data to service. From service itself, we are calling this. So this is the normal approach how we need to consume the data from service. Okay, this is called service. The service main objective is what it sharing the data between the components. Okay, so this is about the service. Now we look the other options in the service. If you go back to our service, a service is a class. The main objective is to share the data between the components. Okay, so this is the thing. Injectable, actually, we saw this is the decorator Angular should create the singleton object for us. Here we have 4 types. Root, this is a default one, and this is only the recommended one. Okay, what? Let's see. We understand root means the application wise this singleton is available. Okay, the object is available. Platform, actually, platform is a special case where this will be useful. Means in .NET we create one solution. Okay, in this solution we have multiple projects, right? Same kind of things Angular also we can do. That and all when we can that microservice kind of project. But this is not normal scenario. So when you are really using needed means you can create multiple project in Angular itself. That time, if you have multiple projects, this object, this service should be injected for all the projects. Mean then we need to go for platform. Okay, this is root means the current project the service will be available. Platform means for all the project this will be available. So this is the thing about the platform. And any is a very interesting thing. Actually, lazy loading. Actually, lazy loading means actually if our project having only actually 5 modules. Okay, the home modules and the reporting, purchase, sales, HR kind of modules having means in Angular. What is a recommendation? It means instead of loading all the 5 modules at the same stretch, means it's a load for the first time, it will be very loaded. Sometimes user landing to or main the home module, just you will go on to see the list of holidays. That is in a report module, go on to see and log out. Then why we need to load other modules and all. This is what lazy loading is almost available for all the programming languages. So here any available, actually, if you mention any for services means the services is act as a singleton for the normal modules. So as I said, the example actually in 5 modules, by default you are loading 2 modules. 3 modules are the lazy loading. So by default you are loading the 2 modules, right? For these 2 modules, this service available for the singleton, single object available for the 2 modules. If you load the lazy loading module, the purchase module, if you click means that time only this purchase module will be loaded from the service. This is the lazy loading, right? So how this service will be act there means the singleton, the existing singleton is not available for the lazy loading modules. If you click the purchase, sales, HR means all the for the lazy loading module, for each lazy loading modules, another singleton will be created. That is a different. Okay. So by default, what if you mentioned root means for all the 5 singleton available, right? But any means the normal modules is available as a singleton. But when you load one by one the lazy loading module, new singleton will be created. So for the 5 modules, if you mention here means 4 singleton available. By default, so 1 singleton available. Other 3 you are clicking, right? For each lazy loading module, 1 singleton will be created. So by recommendation is root. Otherwise null. Now standalone component we have, right? So null we can use. If you go for standalone means null is appropriate one. But in null, what is the demerit means singleton will be created. So whenever we call this one, so if you are pretty sure only one place or 2 places means we can go for null. Let's see the null because we cannot see any and platform and all. So any we want to see means we need to learn first routing and all we haven't learned, and platform normally we won't go that one. Now we go for null. Null means if you mention null means it won't be created. The singleton won't be created. Route means when your application start, singleton will be created. Otherwise, if the first time you access that service, the singleton will be created. But null means not at all will be created. The particular component where you are accessing this service or calling this service, that time only the service will be created. Then let's execute this one.
So at the time of null, the singleton concept will not be used.
Yeah. Actually, what they have mentioned here in upcoming versions, the first time if you create now, that time singleton will be available. When you create, when you call from other component, the second singleton won't be created. The existing singleton will be reused. Did you understand? Actually, as of now, we have 2 components. We have mentioned null. Null means no service available. In the first component A calls this service means 1 singleton will be created. So component B calling this means, so second singleton will be created, right? So now actually how they are going to change. So when second time when you access the same service, the first one will act as the singleton. So same, this existing service will be reused, that's it. So like that only. Let's see first how the null works. Now what I am going to do, still we have value here because we have used the root provided in root. So all over the project is available. Now I am going to mention service is provided is null. Okay, instead of route. So what are the options available here? So null also available here. Okay, so if you so null we can have option. So if you over here, it will say root platform any and null. Okay, so null. By default, what should have happened here? Since we refresh the page, actually that singleton won't be available. Still, we are in actually employee component. In that employee component, we don't access because the service is not available. Even though you go here, and see the employee service, nothing is available here, right? So what we need to do? We need to call the service here. Providers is one option here. Here we need to mention the service name. What is the service name? Employee service, right? Okay, now if you go on the verify, so it is available now. So now it's not, this service is not available the project wide. For this component only it's available. Okay, so you're pretty sure only one or two places only you need the service as of now. Means we can go for this. Otherwise, what will happen when your project ready, the service also ready. But that user don't go this employee list means still it's a waste only, right? So this is the main thing. So when you user go on to click, that time only that service available, otherwise it won't. So this is the two different. So in the 4 category, route and null only useful now as of now. So based on the need, you can go for that. Okay. Okay, this is about service. We will dig more about service when we connect with the endpoint. So that time through service only we can get the data and send the data for updation or deletion. Okay, so this is about service. Another one is a dependency injection. So this, yeah, definitely you are familiar with the dependency injections. Same things are available. So normally for decoupling, the loosely coupled we will use, and very flexibility and testable, right? So here, how we are using that dependency in Angular means in constructor we are calling, right? So this is the inject that object here. So this is what dependency injection. Nothing actually new here. So let's go to apply component. We are here. So in constructor we are giving here, right? So this is actually a dependency. Without in the dependency injection also we can call the service. How we can call the service? We need to create the object. So what is the main difference? Actually, I understand that all you are familiar with dependency injection. Okay, so without dependency injection, how we can call that object? We need to call that new. So let's comment out all those things, and let's call that object manually. Try to call the object manually. What we need to do? Employee service equal to me employee service. Okay, we create the object now, and even constructor. Then we need one variable to assign the value. So this dot employee equal to this instance. We have created the instance from the employee service, right? Then get data.
This operator.
Yeah, this, yeah. Right. Okay. So this is a variable, right? So we need to use this operator. So if you go and see, so it's available. Okay, what is the different? So wherever you need the service, you need to create the instance. So memory will be add up. So if you call this the service 5 times, means 5 memory will be created. But in dependent injection means singleton is available. Just we are injecting the service here. So that is a different. So that's why the dependency injection is important. So this is the thing in the dependency injection. And here, most of the developer actually confused with these things, injectable and inject. So injectable means a class wise. So if you want to inject one object, thing, services means we need to use the injectable class wise. That's why we have used here. If you go on to see in the services, so injectable. Okay. So if you inject as a class means you need to use inject. In parameter, if you use injectable, inject means we need to use the parameter. So if you go on to see, not the same object actually. Some third party control and all we will inject. We will use a syntax like that. Actually, this since this is a service, it is not accepting. So I will show from my existing project. Window. Here construct is see at inject. Okay, as a property, but this dialog detail, this and all material dialog. So the third party UI thing. So property wise. So property as a property, you need to inject the third party controls means we will use the constructor as in constructor level injection here. Actually, that one is a class level. So don't confuse with that. Mostly we will use that service only, not this one. If you use any third party, in the third party you want to inject this component, and that the component value will be the dialog data and all, everything will be available in one variable. So that time only we will go for the thing. So this is a class level in the injector, dependent injection, and this is a parameter level dependent injection. So this is the thing. Okay, actually, this is what actually I prepared. Anyhow, we will complete. We completed within the time. Actually, next the last one, the routing. You can notice now what we are doing whenever we add the new component here, we go and add that component in main.ts. So you can ask me, so I want to see the many components at a time. At a time means in the link, when I click one link, we need to show other component, another link, another component. That time we will use the routing. Okay, so here HTML file, the single page here, right? In the HTML file, which file we need to load? That this is what we are telling. We are telling here in main. Actually, which is the startup thing we are telling. So we will learn routing in next class. In routing, the based on the name, how we can the routing name we need to mention, and the component, that name, that path, routing path, which match with which component we need to load, we can tell. And routing is a huge topic actually here. We can send the data through routing one page to another page, and we can restrict user. The auth guard we can use, restrict, and we can verify the token, the JW token. We get the token from server, right? The token we will store in session storage or local storage. So sometimes it will expire, sometimes it will be tampered. So that time we need to verify still the token is valid, or anything happened to the token means we can that time we need to redirect him to login page again. So that time that kind of action we can do this routing. Okay, so next class, my idea is that we will learn routing with the JWT token. So we will create one ASP.NET application. There we generate one token and we will send it. How we will change the token. As intruder, we will change the token or delete the token in backend, and we set the expiry time is just 1 minute. After that 1 minute, automatically token is expired means automatically it should go for login expire, the kind of things that and all we can do through this routing only. So let's dedicate this routing the next session. Up to the routing, the building blocks are over. After that, we can go for RxJS and how the data, we need to send the data, share the data between the components. That kind of topics we will move. Okay, so the last class actually for this building blocks is routing. We will see the routing next class. Next class maybe next week, Thursday. Maybe if any changes means they will announce us. Okay, any question for these topics? We have discussed today pipes and data binding, dependent injection and service.
Yes, I have a small questions,
Yes.
sir. So, for example, first of all, thank you so much. I have learned a lot today related to the property binding, event binding, and uh, means property event and two-way bindings. Okay, so for example, I have three components. So, as of my knowledge, so if the component is no connections, means no relationship between, so we will use services to exchange the data. Correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, and if I have components, one is for parent, another one is for file child, and another one is for nested child. In these conditions, how I need to pass the data to nested child?
Nested child means for A, B, C. Let's have the A is a parent,
Okay.
B is a child. Let's take example now. Then we can extend for C. Okay. So here, if you want to send the data A to B means we need to
Mhm.
we need to use the input property actually in this child component. Component B is a child means actually I write down here so we can understand here. So component B is a one. Let's assume that this is another component. So this is a parent component. The current component is a parent component. Here we need to send the data means we will use the input decorator, right? So
Yeah.
we will say right. So your question is that from component B, I need to send the data to component C, right?
Yeah.
So that time component B is a parent. So if you go to component B, so let's just assume that you come to component B. Here we need to use component C. So here you need to use input again.
In these conditions, the both are in under the structural component, correct? So my question is component C inside the component B.
Yeah. Actually, since we don't have multiple components, I am
Okay,
not
got
here.
it.
In
Okay.
component B HTML, we need to call this one. Okay.
Okay, cool.
We will. So when sharing the data, I add this point also, Jayan. So actually, my
Okay.
that how
Okay.
to pass the data. So parent to child, child to parent. So input and the child to parent. Actually, output and event emitter is there. So in this session, we will add this point also. How we need to pass the data to child to another child. That and all we will see this.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
thanks,
you.
sir.
Jayan. Definitely,
Yeah.
we address this also. So it will be good to understand more about this.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Having
Thank you so much.